So I'm here with Andrew, the CEO and founder of Swapped, and really we're just going to talk into the world of AI, new technology, new ways for marketing, and even dive into different discussions on that. So thanks for jumping on, Andrew. How you doing so far today?
Yeah, thanks for having me, Lucas. Good, good.
Good.
Yeah,
So
living up here in Boston. We got some great weather this weekend, so it's all
yeah,
good over here.
sweet. So as far as is your company based in Boston? Is that like the main area for your
Main
software company?
area. Yep. Northeastern student, went to Klaviyo, which email marketing SMS platform in Boston, and now my own company is now based in Mass Challenge. So Mass Challenge is an awesome incubator in Boston. We're lucky enough to be in the offices.
Okay, so tell me a little bit about the company that you built, why you built it, the problem it solves, and just a quick kind of condensed version of what you guys are doing from just what the company is.
Yeah, sure. So my background is 100% engineer turned into understanding all of the problems for modern retailers today. So even when I was in college, my co-ops at Northeastern were focused either at retailers as an engineer or engineer for retail agencies. So got a lot of experience understanding one to one, like how do you work as a retailer? Like I worked for the America's Test Kitchen, who sold a lot of, it was more entertainment, but they sold books, they sold different items of food. And then I went building apps and building sites for them, a lot of commerce, searching, things like that. And then I went from that to Klaviyo, where I worked with a ton of brands as both an engineer and then turned enterprise consultant. Sort of understood, okay, how do you plug, how do you do this kind of thing or this marketing technique or create this customer experience? And a lot of my time was actually used uh, doing third party scripts, building sort of UMLs, so architectural diagrams to understand how data flows from point A to point C and all the steps in between. And then actually creating those for customers as well, just because at the time we were sort of a smaller company. So we would make, yeah, these are UML diagrams. So at the time we would actually be really hands on with our customers, building scripts and building third party engines out for them. And in marketing, it's really interesting because there's a million tools out there. The average Shopify store will have 50 different extensions or apps usually, but coordinating them in between each other or even doing simple things like creating a referral program or doing loyalty can actually be way harder to implement than you might think. So one thing that we're trying to do is streamline everything for everybody. We created an AI first tool to help brands create customer experience flows from start to finish. And as an integrations expert, consultant, engineer in this specific field, we've been taking a lot of my experience and putting it onto a SaaS app. And we're starting with the customer experience flow for QR codes and we're building outwards. So creating QR code landing page, making dynamic discounts, one-time use QR codes, and then facilitating customer journeys afterwards. So how do you get a QR code to go into Klaviyo, Shopify, create a Revo or Yapo loyalty account, and add some points to it? And how do you scale that and make it really easy to attribute? That's the first sort of flow template that we
Okay.
have in our app, and we've been sort of going to market with it with that bigger overarching plan in mind that I mentioned.
hmm Okay, so tell me a little bit about the direction and maybe the new technologies that's being used. So I'll just give you an idea. A lot of our listeners are people that are in the marketing space, and they're really wanting to kind of stay cutting edge on new technology, new things, whether it's using QR codes to leverage different marketing tactics or things like that. What are some of the things that's coming up that's kind of seems interesting to you?
Yeah, so historically, a lot of the things that people used to do with marketing in terms of building out third-party landing pages is they would go to sites like a form building site or um, like what's it called? There's a few really popular ones that I'm trying to think of. Maybe Chestuno is one of them. They do pop-ups too. So you go and you create a form, like custom form, and then you throw it out after an ad. And a lot of it was manual. A lot of it took a long time. now there's AI apps directly for creating those. So my favorite one actually, a lot of it is free to use. It's V0, and you just type in the prompt. You might drag in your brand colors or image, and immediately it could create a really beautiful landing page for you
Hmm.
that you can just deploy on the spot, or you can copy and paste it, ask it to do HTML inline styles, so in your Shopify store. So I've actually been manually doing these for a lot of our brands, and even though a lot of marketers haven't quite adopted this yet, I've been adopting it for brands. So, for example, every single campaign ASAP Rocky's run this year, I've done for him, and I use this app specifically to build his landing pages out, and then I'll send it over to his team.
Okay. And is this essentially just vibe code where you just type in what you want it to build and it builds it, at least from
Yeah.
the premise of it? Okay.
Yeah, so it's vibe code. There's a really talented engineer. He calls himself Shad CN, and he built out this really robust UI library. So just to give you some history of UI, basically like the way that things are designed on screens. History of UI is that there were a few UI libraries that were dominant in the market, one of which being Material, that played really well with CSS and HTML and React, and it made it really easy to develop things quickly. And over time, you started being able to, everything on the internet started looking the same because they all use the same UI
Yeah.
libraries. And
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah,
It's
and
similar.
and everyone started getting really bored of the look. The designers have been going back to the 90s. So a big trend last year is if you go to a lot of sites, like some people had a lot of 90s tactics. So sort of like old school is a new school. Um, and Shad CN has been a very flexible tool that was built by one developer only. Very flexible tool that allows you to do more than just Material UI did, which was like that boxy feel.
Hmm.
Um, and since he's developed and released that, V0 bought it, integrated it, and used that to train their models. So now if you create a beautiful landing page using V0, it's going to look way better than,
And is this the one you're talking about? The company?
yeah, this is the
That's
company.
it.
So
Okay.
this was acquired by V0, and now it can create things that look so much better than Material UI could have ever done. And
Interesting.
it's all done just by typing in a quick prompt.
Sweet. Okay. So, and I guess at least from the building perspective, like building out as far as it builds it out, is it easily to change like the colors and just the overall UI of it?
Yep, yep.
Okay.
And you can import it. You can import Figma files or export Figma files. So for designers, we have multiple consultant designers, and they'll actually just use this and import their Figma, and it's just super easy to just. And again, like it's V0 they use more than Shadcn. Shadcn was acquired, um, but they'll just integrate V0 into Figma and go from there.
Oh, sweet. Yeah. Definitely trying to like kind of combine all of the different tools and then really kind of the game is like connecting different ones on how to use them to build what you want or to essentially to save time and also if it's looking like really nice, the design, you don't have to tweak it too much. Can imagine.
Yeah, yeah. Integrating AI tools is once you figure out how to do it well, there's so many different use cases that save me just so much time and make us so much more powerful as a company once I've started learning more and more of
Yeah.
them.
So you mentioned one word that kind of at least that kind of stood out. You said save so much time. I'm all about things that like save so much time. Is there anything in your regular day to day or just building cool things, doing cool things that have saved you like a lot of time that you're using just in the AI world? I know you've created some different videos, like on LinkedIn, some different ones. But is there anything specifically in your day to day that makes your life like so much better?
Yeah. I'll go over the three main ones. So I just went
Okay.
over V0. That was one of three.
Yep.
Just anytime you need to make a landing page, anytime you need to make a scaffolding for an app or a component.
Hmm.
Um, so from marketing to development, V0 is the
Okay.
first one.
Okay.
The second one that saves a ton of time is Cursor. So uh, IDE, which is essentially like a Word doc for uh, IDEs are Word docs for code, essentially. Cursor is one of the latest IDEs. They also are one of the fastest growing companies in history. Went from like 0 to 100 million ARR in a year. All it's made by like 23, 24-year olds. Like an insanely impressive project that you can just type in the chat window what you want it to do. It'll read through all of your files and make the code for you. So this has the past year we decided to scrap. We said, let's try this out. It's going to be extremely risky for us, but if it works, we're going to be the best company ever in a year or so. And it worked. We're able to crush code now because what happened is that we went from using ChatGPT every once or Claude every once in a while a
Hmm.
year ago to help base our code off of, and then we'd bring it back in or uh, edit slightly. But now we use Cursor since we built our app from scratch again and our site from scratch and everything. We literally just type in a small prompt and Cursor can completely recreate the app based on what we asked for. We actually have like a bunch of preloaded context that you copy and paste into your Cursor interact and context for different sort of creations. So if I'm creating an integration, you copy and paste the context for integration so it has a complete understanding of how to build it already, which
Yeah.
just fast tracks things. So
Yeah. Almost like just like a template that you essentially that you're just putting in the frameworks for it.
yep. So instead of hiring junior devs, I've been hiring interns, and I found I actually practiced this last quarter, where instead of hiring like junior devs and interns for computer science, I hired some computer science interns, but I hired some math interns, so people that have never coded before in their entire
Oh,
lives.
huh.
And it was just an experiment. It was like, let me hire two. Let's see if they can make some successful PRs by the time they're out. We've had some really good code edits from them by the end of their semester. So just
Wow.
three
So
months.
I know a lot of people, at least for the audience that I speak to, there aren't necessarily coders, so they wouldn't know hardly like maybe some basic HTML, but then even then they'd probably say, I really don't know it. So, what was one of the things that leveled them up that made them learn so quickly, or at least to get on pace of like how to use everything, efficiently?
Definitely V0 Cursor and all
Okay.
of our documentation. So
Mhm.
I would say we're much more prepared now. So we're going to try we're going to try doing this again with a brand new team in the next month or so, where we're actually going to bring some business people in and see if they can do this as well.
Oh, interesting.
And yeah, it's going to be really interesting to see with everything we've built so far, can we take someone with zero knowledge in business and train them up to be an efficient coder in 3 months?
Okay.
Because we have done it with math students, so with who've never coded. So can we do it with business students? Next question.
No. Yeah, man. So, yeah, honestly, that's making really, it's starting to open up the ideas of, at least the barrier to entry on training people or getting people on your team to do things that helps build a company or design things is starting to have that barrier to entry where it's different.
Yeah, it's extremely important because now actually we cut back basically 90% of our contract designers' time too. We
Mm.
hardly need contract designers anymore because V0 does a lot of it for us, which is another value add that saves a lot of time and resources. And then the third thing that saves a ton of time, because I mentioned three. The third thing is, have you ever heard of a tool called Loom?
Yes, Loom. Yeah, I've used Loom like quite a bit. I maxed out like the free version basically, or it's
Yeah.
like, okay, I got it now. Here, let me go pull it for the people that haven't. But yeah, it works really, really well. But yeah, yeah, you can continue to go ahead.
So, did you know that this was acquired by Atlassian? And I see you
Oh,
like the top.
okay.
So, they also own. Have you ever heard of Jira?
No, I haven't.
So, Jira is essentially Jira. Sorry, it's Jira. It is a Scrum board or um, yeah, it's a ticketing system essentially.
Okay.
So
Project
if
tracking
you
something.
are trying to organize and create tasks for your software developers, typically as a software engineer, the way that you work is, and it depends on the size of the company and the style of the company, and your level of engineering. But the way that junior engineers work usually is they see tickets, and even up to senior, they'll see a ticket, and a
Okay.
ticket will be in some project manager, and you grab the ticket, you work on it, and you drag it over to the done or the pending or the whatever.
Yeah,
Um,
ticketing statuses.
yeah, exactly. And the way that it used to work is it took me hours and hours and hours and hours to make 15 tickets, or however many tickets I wanted to make that day. and it took a long time. But now with Loom, you just screen record and you say add to Jira, and in one button, it uses AI to transcribe the entire thing, summarize it, and create the ticket for you, and it puts it onto the appropriate Jira board as well. So now I can create 15 tickets in minutes, and my
Ah,
engineers know exactly what to work on. It's like it's actually replacing a product person as well. So
interesting. Yeah, because I know like we use for the company that I worked for, we use ClickUp for a lot of our all of our project
ClickUp's
management.
great.
And then they do have like a section where you can do like record a video, but then you have to like record the video and then copy the link and then paste it in the project. But and I don't think they have it where it's as seamless as adding it. I may be not correct on that, but yeah, at least
And
for
it
me.
transcribes it as well. Like I
Mm,
do love ClickUp, don't get me wrong, but
okay.
Jira also has this, and it just saves me
Hmm.
again a ton of time. And with those three tools, we've now replaced designers, we've replaced engineers, and we've replaced product people.
Okay. Dude,
Yeah.
so whenever you start talking about the roles, my big thing is the concept of like my roles. I'm in like in the marketing world, so I'm always trying to say like how do we stay cutting edge in the marketing in the world that's like the changing, trying to stay the spearhead of technology. So what are some ways that at least from a marketing perspective that you see the technology leaning towards, or even how you're positioning your company from a marketing standpoint to make sure you guys are hitting those targets or adjustments.
Yeah, so for marketing for us, we're like sort of a newer startup. So for me, like the most important thing is that just when you get to our website, you understand what we do. Um, we have one pagers, we have things like that. And the way that and we try to do like at least a monthly email. I've been a little bad with that, but we're we're working on getting that up there. But in terms of our marketing, we're very simple still. But any marketing that we do, our marketing site's entirely V0 cursor. So
Hmm.
it's all code. And I try to make at least one improvement a day. I have like a task list of things I want to do a day. So, for example, I'll type in, like, I'll look at a competitor's site or look at this or that. And if I
Hmm.
want to make a quick adjustment, I'll just type in, like, hi, please make this, do this, or something like that. If you type in swqr.link, you can see like our a more overarching website that um, I don't like throw out there, but it has like some of like crazy additions that I like playing around with. It's swqr.link.
SWQR
Yeah.
dot, did you say dot link?
Yep.
Okay.
I see like some of our yeah, so wait for this to load. Give that a second. Yeah, you could drag your cursor around there.
There
Yeah.
we go.
So I do some like crazier stuff on this one
Yeah,
just to
yeah,
like
just
play
kind of
around.
work with a little bit.
Yeah, yeah.
I love that. That's cool. So was this built with the cursor AI tool?
V0. Yep. It
Every
was built
zero
with
V zero.
V0 and then brought over with cursor.
Okay,
Yeah.
dude. Yeah, that's really neat.
Yeah, we can, and if you scroll up, every entire section was V0, but if you scroll down to that middle section, so like this one, even
Hmm.
the animations to the right, so click on
Yeah.
like customer experience flow builder, like this animation, the customer experience flow builder, like if you look up
Oh
one
yeah.
time use, yeah, all of the animations here were
Hmm.
entirely V0 as well. So
So hold on, I'm backtracking. So what about these little GIFs or the little
all
icons?
V0 prompts. I just typed in, hi,
What?
please make a nice flow builder.
What? That
Yep.
that is honestly like I work on like WordPress and stuff and trying to get like something that's just like interactive and cool and trying to communicate things. It's always so I almost feel like it's like an ad commercial. I'm not trying to run like an ad commercial on this podcast, but dude, that's really cool to see at least the capabilities of that. So tell me, why did you go to a one page company page versus you have this one up? It's kind of more interactive. Is there a reason why you went to the simple one page, with just doing like clicking the links where it goes through like the hashtags down?
Oh, instead of like having
Yeah.
multiple
Yeah,
pages.
like a full one.
So honestly, I don't know. We used to have multiple page one, but the percentage of people that go from here to the multiple page one is such a low percentage. We get like, in the like 1% to 5% range, and I don't necessarily know. And like if you were, I'm sorry, it's not, that's not including pricing because like 20% of people go to pricing. And then after that, it's like 5% of people want to look over here, 1% of people want to look over here. We're going to make help to articles. We're going to make more like blogs, more case studies that aren't just one page. In the future, more documentation. We have a lot of that in the works right now, but for the most part, I found that 99% of people that are interested in your product and that will book a meeting will do it as long as that first page is really smack dab cool. So that's why we've been working so hard on that first page and we'll to increase conversion. And then in the future, if people want to learn more, once they're onboarded, we're going to have more. But most people don't really care after that first page.
Yeah. Yeah, there's definitely like even the landing page I was building for my company or my company I work for is trying to have like a, how would I say it, a simple just one page. I essentially just had like a one page like home page where they could go through and click and it would just drop down just how like yours was. But then we have like multiple products, so it's almost trying to then, click on each one of the ones to then take them to more information. So yeah, there's definitely on the tracking side, at least for, having a one page landing page. um, how's that going for like the tracking side?
Good, good. Yeah. In terms of it makes it pretty easy, right? You
Yeah,
just
yeah,
have Google
literally just
Analytics and
one,
yeah, yeah,
one simple Google tag on different buttons that they're clicking or something. But
yeah,
yeah,
really no big deal. Like you could see how many people scroll, things like that.
hmm
It's really
yeah,
not, yeah, it's really not a tough task once you
yeah.
have the
So I want to dive into a little bit more of so kind of tell me with your company what you have going on. Where do you see the future as far as QR codes? You're like an expert in QR codes and that space and world. Is there anything that people maybe aren't aware of in the QR code space on how you can optimize or use them for marketing tactics and just the opportunities that's going on there?
yeah, I would say QRs and e-com integrations in general. I think that with QR codes, the thing that since I've started this, it's crazy because I always thought it would improve over time or people would care about this eventually. But if you have QR codes and in your funnel at all, the one crazy thing that I've found about retail brands is that they don't even know how many times they've been scanned. So I'll be talking to a head of marketer or something like that. And I'm like, hey, how many times has this been scanned? What does this do for your goals? And more overarching, just in general, first party data that they capture sometimes isn't really looked over at in general. There's so many brands that, for example, they sell in Walmart or they'll sell in on Amazon that end up not being able to make it because you have been relying on all these sales and all of a sudden a stronger competitor comes in, your product fades out, you're not able to introduce new products or SKUs effectively. There's a million reasons for this, but eventually you just die out. And that death is slow and painful and also preventable because what you can do is you can understand your customer data. And if you have a good understanding of your customer data and can clearly communicate with them, then you can get a better sense of what they're interested in. And there's a lot of marketing techniques that you can do before they slowly
Yeah.
fizzle away as a
Yeah.
brand.
So
Um,
when it comes to the marketing text, is there some things that you're able to pick up on QR codes that give some insight into maybe before you start slowly dying as a company? Essentially, what are some of the tattletale signs that you can pick up on a QR code?
yeah, so I would say the number one thing that enables you to pick up those signs is definitely having the data and being able to communicate with your customer because then you're able to improve your product launches and tweak the product if you need to over time. The one way of preventing that as a brand is by getting your customer data, and the best way of doing that is via QR code. So, it, if you're selling on a third party marketplace, so if you're selling on a third party marketplace and you want that connection with your customer, and you don't have a QR code, you're never going to understand who they are. But if you have a generic QR code that goes to a landing page that's not effective, then you're also not going to understand who they are. So that's why our fraud proof discount QR codes are so important. The landing page and the QR code only work once. They give you some sort of promotion or maybe a sweeps entry or something like that, but usually a promotion that gives you X% off if you buy online, or a free
Yeah.
sample that you collect, or we'll ship a free sample to you if you enter your data in. And that way you can actually facilitate more sales over time with those specific customers, increase retention, as well as get a pulse on what they need over time as well.
Yeah, so oftentimes for QR codes, because there's some people that have used QR codes for like events or for just simple stuff of like a PDF lead magnet that they'll, maybe put on a slide deck or something like that. Is there ways that you're seeing QR codes um, that maybe need to be, that's most effective in terms of, is it just having a QR code that people want to scan in, and then from there it's all about tracking the metrics, or is there certain strategic tactical ways that people can make QR codes more engaging or collect that data more easily?
Yeah. So I would say just putting them on products. Putting them on products is like an insert. The Either a sticker or an insert package that has created the most amount of conversion rates that are actually helpful. So when we first started going to market, we said let's go to events and sell QR codes at events. And we've even tried one-time use QR codes at events too, like discount proof ones. The issue with that is that even if you think you're going to a target event, a lot of the times it'll be catch-all. So someone will go to an event, and the reason why they scanned and submitted their data was actually because of the free burger or something like that you were giving out. And for example, for DoorDash, one of our customers, DoorDash, that works really well because they're actually selling you more burgers. But if you're a retail brand, that doesn't work very well because they were just there for whatever free thing that has nothing to do with your product. So what ends up happening over time is that you start tracing those customers back and seeing the ROI, and it's not as high and effective. But
I
if you're
see.
capturing someone that already purchased you in Walmart or Amazon, then you get that understanding of the customer that's already purchased your product. And
Yes.
that's super effective. And you're already spending ad money. So like your ads department is spending a ton of money to help advertise to new people when they're probably already old purchasers. So
Okay.
if you're able to convert those old purchasers data, then you get to understand that A helps it more make your ads more effective because you use first party data lead ads rather than third party data ads, which make them way more effective. And secondly, you can retarget them, email, SMS, get them to purchase more.
Okay. And on that email side, so for instance, if you know someone's going, well, let's just say that they're going for the free item that you're going to have at the event. Let's say it's if you join in, you get a $20, I don't know, Amazon card or just some form of something.
Yeah,
Once they click on it, then from an email standpoint, I guess then you can start to create specific emails for them after the event of, hey, I hope you enjoyed the discount or whatever it was, and then you can start to kind of target them in their own silos. Is that kind of the big differentiators, is trying to then split the different ones and then retarget or target specific strategies for them?
exactly. Because they're SKU based too. So it's like, hey, you just bought this thing. And now you have a list of people that bought this thing in Walmart. So you're releasing this thing in Walmart, and these people are in the exact same Walmart that you're releasing this item in, and this item's close to that item. So you're going to email them, letting them know that you have a new product drop, or maybe that you have like a specific UPC that um, is going on right now that you need them to, that you would want more customers to. So you can email them those as well, or information about that. So if you have any sort of like direct need to sell items off the shelf, it's a good strategy. But also if you have a general desire to understand and build more relationships with your customers over time, it's also a good leverage and tactic.
Okay. So as we kind of shift into a little bit more rapid response, rapid questions, I want to know in terms of do's and don'ts of, first I'll just start off with a rapid kind of question. So are you ready to kind of jump into that?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. So do's and don'ts of QR code use.
Do make sure that they're attributable. Don't allow them to be manipulated or fraudulent. For example, if you can just copy and paste the link the QR code goes to and throw it on Reddit, it is going to completely dilute the amount of understanding you have of your customers in Walmart.
Okay. So I guess for the other one, I had it, and then I was focused. I had the question that I had, and then it went off. It went off to some other land because I was focused on your response.
Oh,
Um,
I have more to that response
okay,
actually.
sorry. Yeah, I
Yeah,
didn't mean to
do
interrupt.
make your QR codes bigger with a clear CTA and don't make them small. Don't make them go to your website. And do treat your customers like they're going on some personalized experience rather than when they scan, they're going to something random or something irrelevant to them. And now I'm done with that. So if you
Okay.
can
Thoughts on lead magnets using QR codes?
lead magnets using QR codes, meaning like people or
Meaning like, for instance, if you were to have like downloadable PDF or some form of, QR
yes,
codes for lead magnets. Thoughts?
definitely do, as
Okay.
long as it provides value. So we have ad people, we have artists, for example, that use QR codes to show off their new songs. So we have like data gates that let you enter your information and you release it. You get like a new release song and stuff like that. And we definitely have retail brands that have instruction videos behind data gates and such. It's a great idea if it adds value. It's not so great of an idea if it's random. A lot of people strive for those like partnerships and get those like lead magnet sweepstakes with people that aren't relevant to their brand, and it dilutes their lists, creates a lot of data points that aren't relevant to you and a lot of fake data points, and ends up being a nightmare, a total nightmare for your marketing team.
Okay. So I guess at least the final kind of rapid fire question would be what's one common way to use QR codes? It's kind of a hidden gem in terms of ways that it's doing really well or optimizing just as from a QR code standpoint, or is there?
Yeah. Well, I would definitely say the one-time use fraud proof. I keep going back to that, but that's the best use case we've found for getting specific people that you know have purchased your product before to purchase again. And it's just giving a really good thank you gift to those people. And then you can personalize their journey the next time they purchase. So if they've already purchased again before, you can do it again. I have another one actually. QR codes for, and this is very specific. It's if you own your store. So if you own your store, you can give people QR codes that directly tie to their loyalty accounts. So they can go back in. It doesn't apply to a lot of brands in Walmart, but it does for a lot of e-com brands where you can come that now have their own stores. You can come back in, have people scan, and you can put it in your Apple Wallet. We do this with a lot of brands actually, and you get an understanding of their experience and their journey so far, how they're doing on e-com, and it's sort of like you have like little black books in retail that give you an understanding of all of your customers that come in. If you're like a small mom and pop retailer, up to like some of those bigger retailers like American Eagle, for all of your best customers, and this is sort of replacing the black book, I would say.
Okay, interesting. Yeah, that's definitely some interesting insight on those thing. Is there anything that you would say to people that are in the marketing space and trying to stay up to date on new technology, new things going on? Just anything that you would recommend or say to them?
Yeah. And if you're in the marketing space but afraid of leveraging technology, I would strongly suggest that you at least take a look at some of the latest softwares, the ones that I mentioned, because what technology is growing towards is specifically apps made for you. Like V0 isn't something that I go in and because I'm a coder, I'm able to leverage it effectively to create a really nice landing page. I don't have to do any code. And like I mentioned, I'm starting to get business students to work on straight up coding a whole, like in our enterprise project, see if they can do it to create actual additions to it. We'll see if it works, but we've done it successfully with math students. So the world is starting to be created for you instead of you being separated from development entirely. You're very soon going to be a pivotal part of how any sort of software comes into play, and leveraging software, you're actually going to be the best at it because people like me with development backgrounds that don't understand how marketing works to an extent are going to be at a total disadvantage because it won't matter in the next maybe 6 to 12 months how good you are at coding because the best coders are going to be machines. So it's going to be the people that can take advantage of those coders by letting them know how to best and most effectively create a product that people will use that are going to win. So I think we're going to see a lot of solopreneurs and startups started by specifically marketing growth hack geniuses.
Okay. Well, honestly, Andrew, I appreciate you sharing all the insight, what you have going on, and different things. So, where can people find you at? Just on social media, and then
Yeah,
even yeah, start from there.
yeah. So, Andrew Smith swapped. If you Google me, you'll find my LinkedIn and probably my Instagram, SWAPT, and Andrew Tech Smith. So, definitely very forward in the tech facing world. Been in consumer apps for a long time. So, yeah, that's where to find me.
Okay, perfect. Well, I really appreciate you coming on. Definitely, guys, go check out this company, what he's got going on, and just working on really some cool stuff. I appreciate you coming on and sharing your insight and your wisdom. So I really appreciate it, Andrew. So thanks.
Yeah, thank you for having me. Appreciate it.